Hello and welcome to our GOLD participants from around the world. I'm Fiona Lang-Sharp, IBCLC Public Relations Manager and MC for GOLD Lactation Online Conference 2016. I have the pleasure of sitting down with friend and colleague, Christy Jo Hendericks today. Welcome, Christy Jo.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
We've been having so much fun today. So for those of you who are listening in today, we've been laughing and giggling today, but mostly we've been talking about lots of the things that Christy Jo and I both appreciate, and that is the art of communication. And Christy Jo is very passionate about it. So we have her speaking at our conference this year. Very excited to have you, Christy Jo. And the title of her presentation is The Art of Communication, Simplifying Birth and Breastfeeding. Just awesome. I'm just so excited to hear you talk about that. But firstly, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit to our listening audience today, and then you can tell them about how you discovered this art of communicating with families and educators.
Sure, I would love to. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I will say my first job was in education, and I was an English teacher, and I worked in the education department for about 17 years.
Wow.
And during that time, I was in my childbearing age and I was having our kiddos. And what I found was that I was not prepared, because I was not in the birth world, to know and understand anything that had to do with the perinatal field. And so what was happening is I was just going to the hospital waiting for instructions. I would climb up on the bed, put the little gown on, and wait to hear what I was supposed to do. And then I started talking to friends who were having children, and they were preparing for their births, and they had birth plans and breastfeeding plans and aftercare plans. And I thought, you can have a say in your birth? I figured if they came to my school, I could teach them about English and how to diagram a sentence, and I could teach them prepositions. And when I went to the hospital, they would take care of the birth because that was their job. And I didn't understand that I could have a big part in birth, and I could have a big part in the breastfeeding decision. And so what I do is I try to think about myself as that English teacher, totally unprepared for birth, and how someone could explain it to me in a way that I could understand it if I had never been exposed to this fabulous world of birth. And that's what I've been doing for the last few years.
Oh, that's so wonderful. And I know that it is kind of, you have those aha moments when you when you're going through some of these experiences of, thinking that you just, take instruction, but there's a lot more. Of course, we've all learned that you really need to be an expert in communicating. And I think that's an ongoing thing. I feel like I'm always learning better ways, and the reason is or better or different ways, I should say, but the reason is because all my mothers are different, all my fathers are different, all my babies are different. So this is really a great topic and subject to have, that this is always something that we need to be talking about. So
right, I feel like we're the translators,
yeah,
that we have this information and we've got to put it in a way that people understand it and comprehend it.
Totally. Yeah, I totally agree. It's a great way to look at it like that too, Christy Jo, is that we are the translators for them, and what a precious time that is in a family's life. So it's important that we're always up to date and mindful of understanding and taking in new ways of thinking and understanding how we're communicating. So I have some more questions for you today, Christy Jo, and one of them is actually a bit of a reflection on what you have experienced in your professional life over the last 10 years. And I just want to let you know that for our listening audience, again, we're celebrating here at GOLD Lactation our 10th anniversary, and it's so exciting. We've got a lot of things coming up, prizes, events. We have 2 keynote speakers, both open accesses, lots of fun things that we're doing. But of course, we've been reflective as well and talking about all the how we've grown as an organization and company. And so I want to hear from you how things have changed for you over the last 10 years and which direction you're heading in now.
Absolutely. First of all, congratulations. I have been in IBCLC for the time that you've had the GOLD Conference, and it is such an asset to our community. I love it. I've participated, and I'm really excited to be on this end of it for your 10 years. But what I've seen personally, when I first got into this field, like I said, I didn't feel like I had a lot of the support and help. So I kind of took more of a hands-on approach. And when I was working and doing some bedside consulting in the hospitals as an IBCLC, I would get right involved. I would get right there with the moms. I was that type of lactation consultant that would ask permission and then, assist that baby. And now I realized moms and babies have so much more intuition than we give them credit for. And I'm definitely more hands-off now because I had these moms that made me feel great saying, I want to take you home with me. You can latch my baby. But I realized it's not me that needs to be empowered, but these moms, they need to leave the hospital confident, prepared in their own skills, and not the lady that walked into the room for 10 minutes and had this little master skill of latching a child. So hopefully I'm learning to work myself out of a job and empower more moms to be able to do what they're equipped to do.
Yeah, isn't that a great, that's a great analogy too, that we should be working our way out of a job, not into a job when we're working with our families. And I really love that because it is about not empowering ourselves. And I've had the same experience as you, Christy Jo, when working with mums and, where I've felt really great because I have, been all hands on and I've latched that baby. And I never say never, but I realize that for the majority of families, you really need to get them to the point where you're completely hands off and you're empowering them so that they don't feel like they need to take you home. So if I ever hear that come out of one of my mum's mouths now, I know I haven't done my job, so it's the opposite feeling that I have now. So that's a really great reflection because I think there's many of us that, we start off in one direction and we learn, how to definitely manage a situation better. So that's just awesome. Well, before we wrap up here, I just have another quick question for you, and that's just to give everybody a sneak peek of what's coming up with your presentation here at GOLD. And so perhaps you could just share just a little bit about what to expect for our delegates.
Sure, absolutely. I think some of the things that I've learned is how we have items in our everyday life that really can be used to teach lactation, be able to use them to create analogies that people really can associate with and understand things very clearly. And so that's been my goal. If I pick something up and go, how can I use this to teach lactation? And I think all of us have learned little skills that we see when we use these items to educate. We see the light come on in our family's eyes. And it's like, wow, I get that now. So we have all the information we need, but hopefully this talk is going to help us to translate this information into terms and make it understandable for everybody that we speak with.
Well, that's wonderful, and I'm sure our delegates are very excited now to hear more of what you're going to share and all your experience that you have in educating families and educating educating the educators. So I know it's going to be really exciting for them to come and learn all those tricks and things that you've learned over the years as well. So thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for joining us here at our GOLD Lactation Online Conference. And to all of our listening audience out there, thank you for joining Christy Jo and I again today. We look forward to having you again. Bye-bye for now.